So here we have a first look at what will be our 2008 Hyundai Azera getting ready for her second run. I've actually already started. I was in here tinkering with some stuff and I just grabbed the sledge and started hammering around a little bit of the back. Again, the back was already pressed in. We were side swiping a lot and took a real good shot in the back right. So it actually bent the rear axle here forward because it's really rusted at the bolt there. Pushed it forward and really smashing this side. So I just hitting with the sledge, just kind of hit a little bit of the door. I'll do a little bit more, try to make it again more hard and compact. The bumper was kind of a weird, I don't know what it was made out of, but it was kind of tore off the top. So I just unbolted the bottom and pulled it off. Pressed the bottom up a little and hammered it on the top. So we're going to try to pull that a little bit more together with the sledge and some other stuff, just so that hopefully she folds in a good square hit or two to start, and it'll be good to go. Otherwise, not a whole lot we're doing with this. So just a couple things here to point out. The one piece here was barely hanging. I just took it off the corner there and threw it out. Probably won't do anything there. Might see if I can get those wires completely inside the frame rail. Might just leave it like that. I actually have it sitting on the stand because this tire has a slow leak. The tire that was flat I took off. So that one I just didn't want it sitting on it flat, so I put the stand on it. This piece over here, same thing. It's partly broken off. I'll cut through the rest of that because, again, this is a stock youth class. We're going to run it at Transfer Harvest Home Fair, GSP, middle part of August here. So that'll be my son's second and final run. We'll see if the car has anything left, but we'll take that out. But stock bumper, a little bit of press in the side, but everything there is good. Core support I will take out, as well as the radiator. It kind of popped on the, I think it's on the right side, in particular the bottom right side is where it popped, but we'll take that out, loop the lines. Which shouldn't be too bad at all because you can see where it goes in the top of the radiator and then there it goes in the bottom. So that's a lot of hose. I'll just see if I can turn it around, or turn this one around rather, and put my piece in the middle. But that's pretty much all we'll need to do up front. The coolant temp sensor I will be able to pull. I'll show whenever I get in there, but it's actually right here. I thought it was a little bit further in and I just couldn't get to it, and I was out of time before the Derby. My son ran. It didn't end up mattering. But for the second one, definitely going to want to pull it, and it's right there, kind of directly under where the air box was. Some stuff's over it. I'll show that, but I'll put a pipe plug in there, pull it out, and zip tie it somewhere so it's just reading air. Beat up and around both fenders. Definitely want to do that. Here's the fresh tire I put on. And then same thing over here. We'll beat up and around the wheel well, and then same thing, try to press this side kind of in and tight, and again, down and up tight. So that's mostly it. Still going to run the stock tank. She's got so much room until she gets there, and it's pretty clean underneath with that. The stock tank's all the way up here, and you can see how much we have to smash in the back. So just hammering out a little bit now, a little bit of exercise, you could say. We'll keep moving. To show our progress, we have the core in essence removed. So we took out the radiator, and sure enough, right along the left side, it was actually like the plastic part, not the, I don't know if it's the coil part, but the actual radiator itself. But it blew through the side whenever we got pressed a little bit in this one corner, just kind of bent it out enough, and then it blew out, so it was trash. So we'll loop them, which I believe we'll be able to use the existing lines here. I've already kind of loosened them and kind of maneuver them around, but I think it'll work like this. I'll get my piece to connect them here in a little bit. But just cut off this top here so that way, if you get pressed in the hood, it doesn't get bent in. The hood itself, I plan to kind of try to curl down that nose, so it'll kind of be a little bit turned in there. So if and when we're hitting with the nose, the bumper will be doing the work and not the hood itself. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna leave that bottom there. It kind of makes it more stable, it seems, and there's nothing down there it can get pressed into, and that's unlikely. So that's pretty much it up front for now until we loop it. And then in the back, we just tried to beat the hood down and in. Actually got it a little bit tucked in, not all the way tucked in because of how mangled it was all the way along the side. But you can see how we got a little tucked in, as well as a little bit pressed up in the bottom. I'll beat now. I'm going to pull it out and beat around the wheels. In particular, this corner kind of, again, beat up and in. The other side's already like that from the hit. But we'll beat up and around, in particular, the front wheels, because these tires are so big and the car's so heavy, the fenders being damaged, they're actually rubbing, in particular, the right wheel. So pull her out, beat around the fenders. That's kind of a little bit of I was doing in here is making a mess, so that's why I'm going to pull it outside. And that's mostly going to be it. So again, a pretty simple second run. I'm also going to see if I can pull this wheel back and a little bit straight, just hook a strap underneath, probably a ratchet strap to a tree, and just slowly pull on it a little bit. So that's what we're doing. So for those of you not familiar, anytime I've referenced in my video with the pipe plugs, so these are them. See, here's a Doorman 4 set that has, there's the biggest one there, and it's actually the second biggest one that I need for this car. And I found it, originally thought, let's see if I can show you the light. But right there is where she is, underneath the throttle body. In essence, I originally thought that guy, get the focus, right there was it, but I don't believe that is it. I believe this right here is it. A little tricky, had used my extension on the socket, 19 millimeter, but there I believe is our coolant temp sensor. So we're gonna have the water loop, so we're definitely gonna be getting that engine hot, likely cooking it. So we're gonna put this pipe plug in there to plug it. We'll plug that back in and we'll secure it somewhere, probably on the battery line here, with a zip tie to secure it. So that's how we pull that out. I absolutely think you need to do it, especially if you're not running the radiator, but even if you are running the radiator, I'd still do it. I just couldn't get to it the first time I ran this one, so we're changing her over. And here we have it. There's our coolant temp sense secured and strapped in there, so it's just reading the air. We have the pipe plug, you can't quite see, but under there in. So I'll put the throttle body, kind of snorkels I call it, back on there, and that's done. And here, using the existing radiator lines on it, I just kind of turn them to where I can put my HC, which I think stands for something HC speed, something like that on Amazon. If you just search HC speed, it's coolant filler, it should pop up if you're interested. But got that high pressure clamp tightened. And then how I like to do it, I like to put a cup, so a full cup of Downy in. Whenever I've kind of emptied out the radiator here, and I don't have this thermostat gutted like my PT Cruiser, so I like to get a cup of that in and as much water, I just have water in that one now, in as I can, run the motor for a little bit around, and then go from there later on and fill it even more. And so here we are with our final look at our 2008 Hyundai Azera, ready for round 2. She might look battered and bruised, but I think she's got another good run in her and a lot of life. So again, my son Hudson, his first derby he ever ran, he ran this one at Mercer Co Grange Fair in July, and he did a good job. But you can see from the damage up and down the side, we struggled going straight back to contact. Pretty much every time we would go on a run, we would kind of end up sliding sideways and side smacking a car. So the back end has a lot left. The front end as well though, and it's a straight stock class. So that is the stock Hyundai Azera bumper, which is a little tougher than the typical rebar bumpers, as I call them. I don't have much left with one hit, really. You can see the radiator's gone, and again, I have the line looped. I'll pop the hood here and look, but otherwise, only other things we did, change the tire. So this is the tire it ran. It has a slow leak, but it'll be fine. Day of the Derby, I'll just make sure it's aired up. The other tire's a brand new one as we cut one down. In the back as well as up front, I just beat around the wheels. You can actually see on the front how I actually cut the front part off, because it was so, this car's heavy and the struts are pretty soft, that it was even bending up and in and beating around the wheels, it was still rubbing. So ended up cutting the front piece off. Back, just kind of beat away from the wheels as much as possible. Same spares I had on it the first run, and then beat up in the corners, as well as kind of a trunk tuck of sorts. With it all mangled, I couldn't get kind of a perfect trunk tuck, but kind of beat in the bottom, got it pressed in there, got the bottom beat up, and you can see how it's, I think it will be, if we can get 2 good back hits to anything, I mean back to back preferably, I think it's going to fold up nice. So this wheel here I was going to try to mess with, but the whole inside right there where it bolts or mounts to the frame of the car is rusted out, and that's why kid put a hard hit in our back right corner here, and it kind of pressed, it ripped that whole thing forward even if I pulled it back straight, it was likely to come forward on its own, and it's still back straight, still drives straight. And during the Derby, it's probably going to be chaos in the back end anyway, so not worried about that. So yeah, again, a lot of carnage on the side here. Inside, everything again's the same. So I don't have my battery box in yet because I have it in another Derby car, but I'll swap it over. That's just the one I drive around the yard here, but it just sits right there like before. Same exact bolts and everything. And then there's the free 99, as I joke, seat belts that I'll put on the hood up front to get her as tight as possible. So rear bar still good and solid. Again, meant to keep her stable. You can see how we took a lick or two on the side, and that helps keep it stable, as well as, you know, kind of a cab safe. Seat for Dad and a seat for Hud. We are going to practice more before we get to the Derby. And again, young drivers, the steering wheel taped up like that so you can't jam your fingers. I actually jammed my ring and middle finger in my left hand in my last Derby I ran. I don't remember exactly when it happened, but boy, after the Derby, my hand was sore, and it was sore for a while. Again, the simple divide there with the chain for safety. And the rear view mirror, I am going to get him in whenever we practice, and I'm going to glue the part where you can adjust it. So I'm going to get it where he wants it, and I'm going to glue it, super glue it like crazy, and hopefully it'll stay stationary there on hits so that he'll be able to use that, as well as kind of me helping him direction wise in the car. And the GoPro, it was mounted perfect. You could see from like both our shoulders up and out the back the first Derby. Unfortunately, a corrupt file during the run, so I actually have a new one that we're going to try to hopefully be able to get some inside views. So we'll pop the hood and see what we did in there. So again, a lot more room up here now with that radiator and the top of the core I cut out, I mentioned earlier. My line again looped, she's good. I thought about maybe securing it, might put just a zip tie around the oil there and that, just so it's not kind of bouncing forward on hits, it's staying stationary, but it'll be fine. It's kind of got this mount here that was stock, but got him looped. And then again, the dummy sensor is right there now, and I have my pipe plug. It's kind of tough to see right there. You can see the end of it. That is keeping it from draining out, so that way she's probably going to get hotter this run, and she can cook as long as we're out there still running, having a good time. Spray foam still intact, so probably won't do anything more there, as the wiring's good. Again, tranny's looped just from the first run. Nothing else to fix or adjust, so we think we are ready to have some fun. I did beat the front here down a little bit more flush, just so that way, you know, try to get it behind the bumper is my thought, so that way if you're using the bumper, especially if it's collapsing in some, as it's not a Mazda or a Caravan bumper that are really tough, but it'll not press on the hood until late. And then even when it does, there's a lot of space up front now until it gets to some carnage. So we're excited for another run. He's excited. He's been asking me, Dad, can I run it again? Dad, can I run it again? I said, yeah, bud. There's a straight stock Derby transfer harvest home fair, August 21st, I want to say. It's a Thursday, the last week of our summer here before the kids start up the next week in school. Hopefully a fun run. So she's a big old car. The H10 still looks good in the side. Hopefully a little more experience now that he's been in the pit. Hopefully a little bit more better runs where he makes some better contact on the hits, and we have some fun in her.